murder of 6-year-old JonBenet Ramsey captivated the nation and put her family under the microscope, with many speculating that her father, mother, brother, or all three were involved in her killing. Tonight, her brother Burke speaks after 20 years of silence about that painful saga, and new evidence is brought to light. Here's my Nightline co-anchor, Juju Chang.
JonBenet Ramsey, a name that once shook America, now exploding again across headlines. Nearly 3 decades of silence are unraveling as buried secrets begin to surface, bringing with them accusations, rebuttals, and truths never before revealed. Behind this shocking case lie words, evidence, and a twist no one could have predicted. Brace yourself, because what you are about to hear may completely change the way you see this tragedy. JonBenet Patricia Ramsey was born on August 6, 1990 in Atlanta, Georgia, into a family marked by power and wealth. Her father, JonBenet Ramsey, was the president of Access Graphics, a subsidiary of defense giant Lockheed Martin, and known as an outstanding businessman. Her mother, Patricia "Patsy" Ramsey, a former Miss West Virginia 1977, stood out for her elegance and burning ambition. In 1991, the Ramsey family moved to Boulder, Colorado, settling into a magnificent 15-room mansion. With its grand staircase, private entertainment room, and luxurious amenities, the home quickly became a symbol of America's upper class in the 1990s. At just 4 years old, JonBenet was ushered by Patsy into the world of child beauty pageants, an environment later fiercely criticized by American media as one that steals childhood. She won a string of titles, including Little Miss Colorado, America's Royale Miss, Colorado State All-Star Kids Cover Girl, and National Tiny Miss Beauty. Each crowning came with dazzling performances, glittering dresses, heavy makeup, voluminous wigs, and dance routines far beyond her age. Images of JonBenet with her radiant smile filled the press, but at times her eyes betrayed a glimpse of exhaustion. The New York Times once published a biting commentary, JonBenet, the commercialized face of childhood. Child rights advocates fiercely condemned the practice of dressing a 4- to 6-year-old in revealing gowns, painting her lips red, and styling her like an adult. Patsy, both mother and manager, quickly became a lightning rod for controversy. She was labeled a stage mom, a term for mothers who project their own ambitions onto their children. In many later interviews, Patsy dismissed all accusations, insisting JonBenet loved the stage. She loved to perform. Still, a close family friend revealed to the Denver Post that JonBenet was often afraid of going on stage and had even cried before a competition. But Patsy gently encouraged her, "You have to try. I believe you're the best." In contrast to his sister, Burke Ramsey, 3 years her senior, was almost entirely overshadowed. In family videos, he appeared sparingly, often avoiding the camera and keeping his distance from JonBenet's glamorous world. ABC News described Burke as a quiet boy, rarely speaking, seemingly lonely within his own family. Some psychologists suggested Burke may have endured emotional pressure, as all attention focused on his famous little sister. Beyond the stage, the Ramsey mansion hosted lavish parties, Christmas, Halloween, summer gatherings, drawing hundreds of guests and reinforcing their image as a perfect family in the eyes of local media. But beneath the glamour, household staff and close friends often spoke of a tense atmosphere, as Patsy pushed JonBenet to practice tirelessly for upcoming competitions. The American public was fiercely divided. One side celebrated JonBenet as a little princess with natural talent, while the other side expressed outrage at seeing her turned into a victim of a society obsessed with beauty and fame. People magazine once asked a haunting question in an article titled, "JonBenet, the Price of Beauty, Could a 6-year-old girl truly crave such glory?" Before the stage lights could fade, a fateful Christmas night in 1996 transformed JonBenet from a symbol of childhood into a haunting tragedy etched forever in American history. The fateful Christmas night. On the morning of December 26, 1996, the city of Boulder, Colorado was stunned by shocking news. JonBenet Ramsey, the 6-year-old girl famous for child beauty pageants, had gone missing inside her family's lavish mansion. At around 5:30 a.m., a frantic 911 call from Patsy Ramsey reported the discovery of a strange 2.5-page ransom note left on the staircase. The requested amount, $118,000, was an uncanny match to John Ramsey's recent Christmas bonus from his company. The letter, blending cinematic language and cryptic phrases, left investigators baffled about both the motive and the author's identity. But by that afternoon, a horrifying discovery ended all hope. John Ramsey himself found his daughter's body in a basement room often referred to as the wine cellar. JonBenet's body was wrapped in a white blanket, her mouth covered with duct tape, her wrists bound with nylon cord, and her neck encircled by a crude garrote made from nylon rope tied to a broken paintbrush handle, tightened enough to leave deep bruising. Everything pointed to a clumsily staged crime scene, as the killer appeared to have used household items to commit the murder. An autopsy report by Dr. John Meyer later confirmed the cause of death as asphyxiation due to strangulation combined with severe head trauma. A forceful blow to the head had created an 8.5-inch fracture in JonBenet's skull. But oddly, no external bruising was present, suggesting the blow may have occurred close to or after the time of death. Additionally, abrasions and bruising in the genital area raised suspicions of sexual assault, though no conclusive evidence of rape was determined. Fragments of undigested pineapple found in JonBenet's stomach indicated she had eaten some shortly before her death. A bowl of pineapple discovered on the kitchen counter bore Burke Ramsey's fingerprints, further fueling suspicions around the family. The crime scene contained other puzzling details. A broken basement window, thought to be the intruder's entry point, remained covered in cobwebs and undisturbed dust. A strange shoe print near the body did not match any family member or police officer present that day. Subtle drag marks on the cement floor suggested the body may have been moved before being found. Early missteps by Boulder police became a stain that would never fade. Instead of sealing off the entire house, they restricted access only to JonBenet's bedroom, allowing friends and family to freely enter, clean, and converse throughout other rooms. Many potential pieces of evidence were disturbed or lost. Critically, police failed to search the basement immediately, the very place where the body was eventually found, and John and Patsy's clothing was not collected for testing on the day of the murder. One persistently controversial detail for years has been the unidentified male DNA found on JonBenet's underwear and leggings. A media firestorm erupted, pushing the case into the national spotlight. CNN called it the Christmas crime that shocked America. Headlines screamed child beauty queen murdered in mansion and homicide in the perfect home. Images of JonBenet in evening gowns and a tiara dominated front pages, from the New York Times to tabloid newspapers. The brutality of the crime, combined with the chaotic police response, left the public asking, was this the work of a stranger or a tragedy carefully concealed within the family? And soon public opinion began to shift. The Ramsey family, once seen as victims, quickly fell under suspicion, becoming the center of decades-long theories and controversy. Conspiracy in the shadows. Suspicion quickly engulfed Patsy Ramsey, as handwriting experts concluded she could not be ruled out as the author of the ransom note. The 2.5-page letter, written on paper and with a pen taken from inside the house, had a tone straight out of a Hollywood script, further fueling the theory that Patsy wrote it herself to stage a failed kidnapping. The requested amount of $118,000 was suspiciously identical to John's Christmas bonus, adding weight to the investigators' belief that Patsy may have accidentally injured her daughter and then attempted to cover it up by staging the crime scene. John Ramsey was not spared from scrutiny. His discovery of JonBenet's body in the basement and subsequent act of carrying her upstairs to the living room drew harsh criticism, with investigators warning that such actions could have destroyed critical evidence. Some detectives even theorized that John deliberately delayed the search for the body to strengthen his alibi and assisted Patsy in constructing the kidnapping narrative. Burke Ramsey, only 9 years old at the time, was never charged but faced private interrogations. A highly controversial theory suggested that in a fit of anger over JonBenet eating his pineapple, Burke may have accidentally struck his sister with a Maglite flashlight, an object found in the kitchen and noted for being unusually clean. The skull fracture in JonBenet's autopsy matched the dimensions of the flashlight. Burke's parents were then suspected of staging the entire crime scene to protect their son. In 1999, a secret grand jury recommended indicting John and Patsy on charges of child abuse resulting in death and obstruction of justice. Boulder District Attorney Alex Hunter declined to sign the indictment, citing a lack of direct evidence. This decision ignited public outrage and left America deeply divided for years. 8 years later, in 2008, District Attorney Mary Lacey caused a sensation by declaring the Ramsey family innocent based on new DNA analysis. The unidentified male DNA found on JonBenet's clothing did not match any family member. Lacey even issued a public apology letter to John Ramsey, confirming they were no longer considered suspects. Forensic analysts, however, countered this, suggesting the DNA might be touch DNA residue transferred during clothing manufacturing, parallel to the family accusations. Another theory gained traction: an outside intruder. Veteran investigator Lou Smith championed this perspective after discovering that within a 3-kilometer radius of the Ramsey mansion, 38 registered sex offenders were residing. Despite this, Boulder police remained inclined toward the inside job theory, citing FBI statistics showing most child homicides were committed by family members or caregivers. The media seized on the case, turning it into a long-running televised drama. The National Enquirer relentlessly exploited private details. While photos of JonBenet in evening gowns and tiaras appeared repeatedly on front pages with sensational headlines like Child Beauty Queen and The Mystery of Death. The media storm peaked in 2016 when CBS aired the documentary series The Case of JonBenet Ramsey, implying Burke was the one who accidentally caused his sister's death. The Ramsey family immediately filed a defamation lawsuit against CBS, resulting in a confidential settlement in 2019. To defend their reputation, the Ramseys spent millions of dollars on lawsuits against media outlets. Though they won several cases, their public image suffered lasting damage. While John and Patsy spoke out numerous times, Burke Ramsey remained silent for more than 20 years, leaving the public to speculate endlessly. Burke breaks his silence. For the very first time in nearly 2 full decades, Burke Ramsey, then 29 years old, appeared before the curious public on the widely watched Dr. Phil show. The highly anticipated 2-hour interview was initially expected to finally put an end to years of lingering public suspicion and countless conspiracy theories. Instead, Burke unexpectedly fueled even more controversy by firmly and passionately denying all accusations while also presenting a provocative new theory. A pedophile who had been secretly watching the beauty pageants targeted my innocent sister. It wasn't his words, but rather his peculiar, unsettling smile that became the unexpected focal point of intense public scrutiny. Throughout the entire interview, Burke maintained an oddly cheerful expression, even when discussing his family's harrowing tragedy, leaving countless viewers feeling deeply unsettled and confused. Social media platforms erupted almost instantly, with countless viral memes relentlessly mocking Burke's smile, which rapidly spread across Twitter, Reddit, and other major networks. Although some experienced psychologists cautiously suggested this unusual expression could be the reaction of someone deeply traumatized, widespread public doubt and suspicion remained stubbornly unshaken. After that media firestorm, Burke chose a reclusive life, avoiding cameras and refusing to participate in programs about JonBenet's case. But prolonged silence could not last forever. In early 2025, Burke unexpectedly reappeared on ABC News during a highly anticipated exclusive interview. This time, his tone was noticeably more forceful, determined, and defiantly unapologetic. "I am no longer afraid. It's time to end this nightmare. Modern DNA technology will finally clear my family's tarnished name after 28 long years of slander and endless public speculation." Burke specifically referenced groundbreaking genetic genealogy, the same revolutionary technology that successfully solved the infamous Golden State Killer case, as the crucial key to identifying the real intruder and uncovering the long-buried truth. ABC also revealed the reasons behind Burke's decision to speak out rising public pressure after Netflix aired a documentary series recreating the case, particularly scenes involving the Pineapple Bowl, a detail long tied to suspicions against Burke. His father, John Ramsey, had been calling on Boulder police since 2022 to apply advanced DNA testing, keeping the family under intense media scrutiny. A shocking revelation from the podcast Cold Case MM added fuel to the fire. Burke had been advised by lawyers to remain completely silent for more than 20 years to avoid legal repercussions. The media response was both instantaneous and overwhelmingly explosive, igniting a firestorm of commentary across every major platform. The NY Post boldly headlined, "28 years later, the brother speaks." Viral hashtags like #BurkeSpeaks and #JonBenetJustice rapidly climbed to dominate the top of global trending lists worldwide. CNN and ABC quickly launched intensive special analysis segments and multi-part discussions, further pushing the heated public debate and widespread speculation surrounding the case to entirely new and unprecedented heights. Online communities quickly split into two highly polarized opposing camps. One side expressed deep sympathy for Burke, viewing him as an unfortunate victim hopelessly caught in the toxic, relentless cycle of media exploitation and public scrutiny. The other side remained extremely skeptical, accusing him of deliberately trying to control the narrative ahead of a possible case reopening that could reignite global attention. On countless true crime forums, fierce, emotionally charged debates raged endlessly. Supporters pointed to the unidentified male DNA evidence and the intruder theory, while critics argued this was nothing more than a calculated effort to whitewash Burke's damaged public image after years of lingering suspicion and controversy. But no matter what Burke said, the image of JonBenet remains an unhealed wound in America's collective memory, a symbol of stolen childhood and a cold case with no end in sight. The haunting legacy. Nearly 3 full decades have now passed, and the JonBenet Ramsey case is no longer merely a private family tragedy. It has evolved into an iconic, haunting symbol of the global true crime phenomenon that captivates millions worldwide. The 6-year-old girl, with her unforgettable innocent smile and glittering crown, is now tied forever to haunting unanswered questions, symbolizing a justice system's persistent failures and a society that shamelessly commodifies childhood innocence as a form of mass entertainment for public consumption. The case remains a lucrative goldmine for both mainstream media and broader pop culture industries worldwide. Netflix made global waves with its gripping documentary series Cold Case: Who Killed JonBenet Ramsey, shattering viewership records and becoming one of the most talked about, controversial series of the entire decade. Paramount Plus eagerly joined the frenzy by producing a high-budget mini-series reenactment featuring an A-list Hollywood cast, further pushing society's growing media obsession to an unprecedented peak. Popular podcasts like Cold Case MM and My Life of Crime have painstakingly dedicated multiple seasons to dissecting every possible detail, from the unusually long ransom note to the mysterious, unidentified DNA traces, pulling the curious public into an endless, addictive spiral of speculation and debate. The case's far-reaching influence extends deeply into the fields of modern law, criminal justice policy, and forensic technology advancements. In 2022, the U.S. Congress unanimously passed the groundbreaking Homicide Victims' Families' Rights Act, officially granting grieving families the legal right to request thorough reinvestigations using advanced, cutting-edge scientific methods. JonBenet's case quickly became a textbook example of applying genetic genealogy, the very same innovative technology that famously helped authorities crack the notorious Golden State Killer case. At the same time, experts around the world cautiously warned that blind faith in DNA evidence could potentially lead to catastrophic errors whenever samples are either accidentally contaminated or dangerously misinterpreted by investigators. JonBenet's heartbreaking tragedy also profoundly shook the entire child beauty pageant industry to its very core. Since the early 2000s, numerous states across America have gradually tightened existing laws, strictly limiting participant ages and significantly raising ethical standards for competitions. Child rights advocates now call JonBenet the innocent, unforgettable face of a vulnerable generation exploited shamelessly to satisfy adult appetites, ultimately forcing the industry as a whole to confront and reconsider many of its long-standing, controversial practices. In an emotional CBS interview, Jon Ramsey once said, "I just want my daughter to be remembered for her pure innocence. Not for the terrible tragedy that took her life, but to the world." JonBenet is both an angel and a victim of modern scandal culture, a world where every possible theory, ranging from an intruder to a carefully orchestrated family conspiracy, has been endlessly analyzed, speculated upon, and mined relentlessly for public entertainment purposes. The legacy left behind is one of deep, unhealed scars. Nearly 30 long years have now passed. Millions of conflicting theories have circulated endlessly. And now, Burke Ramsey has finally broken his silence for a second time in a highly publicized way. Still, the ultimate question still remains hauntingly unanswered. Will the real truth ever be fully revealed to the world? Or is this merely the prologue to an even more chaotic, dramatic, and unsettling new chapter in this tragic, never-ending story?